The problem with loneliness nowadays is that not few people experience it. Doesn't matter if it is in the romantic or friendship sphere, quite a lot experience both, almost like a pandemic. First thing we have to point out is that there's quite a lot of people, 8 billion to be exact. Even 1% of the 8 billion is equal to 80 million. So if 1% of planet is lonely, then 80 million people are lonely. Due to higher numbers of lonely people, they're louder and we are more likely to see the case of loneliness, which may be the first reason why it seems like a bigger problem. But another issue is people developed in such a society in which it's almost impossible to maintain a social life like before. People in the 19th century were so focused on survival and didn't care about social life. In the early 19th century, you'd have to worry about Napoleonic Wars and how to get money and food for your family. Later, you have to worry about surviving in a factory or mines. Did you not really establish laws for industry or work or labor overall? Well, in the 20th century, there wasn't anything else to do but to talk. People put up with each other, like in their tiny communities. Not all kids were going to school. Some were working, and to relax, they had to have some sort of friends, which they get unless they're disabled. And to be fair, they usually wouldn't survive past infancy if they're disabled. Everyone does feel lonely, but those who survived would go to the circus and meet other quotation marks freaks, thus finding them a community to spend time with, solving loneliness. The reason why the communities happen to live close enough is because they'd usually be sent by their fate to similar people. There were houses for all sorts of people, deemed normal and abnormal. People's population wasn't as dispersed over the lands, like for example now. We didn't live in a city where they mix everyone. The majority of specific people lived in the same street or lived in small villages where everyone were close. While now, the people that could become friends cannot see each other due to the fact other people outside of them, which makes them use social media and potentially making them unable to interact in real life. And since one of them is already looking online, others begin to look for guaranteed somewhat similar people online, which makes them feel lonely and getting the sensation of not belonging anywhere. My previous point has been about friendship, but what about relationships? The media we're consuming makes us believe that specific things all specific people want is what everyone wants, not realizing that people that might be liked by you may also like you, but of course, now with the belief planted inside their head, they're convinced that they will forever be rejected and absolutely no one will accept them. Plus, social media makes us see scenarios that we couldn't even think of, resulting in some people obsessing over the idea of a person that is so rare that the majority are already taken or simply will never like them. My statements may be supported by real-life examples. Many men believe they'll be rejected by someone they find cute due to the fact one person didn't show one sign of affection. For example, Elliot Roger never even talked to the girl whom he liked. He tried to smile to them, but when they didn't smile back, he got mad. Or another point, when people saw so much yandere content, they became obsessed over the idea of a person who will forever love them, making guys desire a person that is so rare that only 0.1% of people may actually experience relationships with them. The example of people so rare that only 0.1% experience some kind of relationships with them are yanderes. If simply put, highly obsessive people who will do everything to stay with you. It's really difficult to find such people, since people eventually move on or just don't go through radical measures to get attention from their crush. And of course, how many women have kidnapped men to marry them? How many women actually want to take care of a guy for their entire life? I mean, the same applies to a lot of women who expect a 6 feet tall dude and for him to be a millionaire or at least take care of them. Both are highly unrealistic expectations. There's more to that. Incels like to talk about hypergamy, but I'd say both sides are quite hypergamous. People aren't willing to date women that might match their desires or goals just because of the way they look, while trying to attract women whom they find attractive. That ends up in everyone being lonely except for the stasis and chats. I believe this problem is only spread in Europe and North America, but there are slight showings in Asia, like in Japan or South Korea, where you have to do everything to improve your looks, or you might be left behind. In China, 30-plus-year-old women are seen as old and unusable, or in Southeast Asian nations, where the local population has shown quite high interest in Western European men. Of course, the problem isn't as big as some claim. There are still millions of marriages happening every year. There are millions, if not billions, of relationships happening at this moment. There are a lot of people who are lonely for one reason or another and do everything in their power to get second half of France. That's why everyone's experience matters and should be talked about. Trying in life is still worth it, and giving up isn't the best option. Everyone should try to do something in their power. Because you can die any moment, but you cannot just live as much as you like to. You're simply not given such an option. I had and still have experiences with loneliness. First, it had begun in 2020 with the pandemic. I couldn't meet my friends, and that resulted in me getting slightly withdrawn from people, using more of social media. Then in 2021, I just didn't interact a lot. But with war in Ukraine and me being in Ukraine in 2022, I was forced to flee. Now I was completely pushed away from my childhood friends. I couldn't really find my spot in the people who were surrounding me due to the fact I haven't been talking to anyone for a year now. So naturally, I was becoming more withdrawn, and I feel even more lonely. Like I was meant to talk with anyone. It was especially bad since I was not really a quiet kid. I loved and I still love talking. I've just talked so little that whenever I begin to talk to people, they get annoyed due to the fact that I do not know how to talk with people, and they cannot enjoy my space, or at least I believe so. Now, I know how to find friends, because I do interact with my surroundings, but there's no connection or actual wish to interact, at least from their side. If you're an incel, do not think it's over for you. Sure, you can surround yourself with people who are also unlucky in relationships, but never let them make you believe that it is over for you. Just realize your experience is not only experienced by you, but many others, and there's always an escape. Let your voice be heard by me or some of your friends. Let your experiences be known and not ignored. This is not a call for hate, but a call for being open. At this moment, you might be too lazy or dismissive of my words, but trust me, one day you'll consider my words, and then maybe you can bring light to our struggles. I believe our people deserve love. I believe we deserve something. So first, let everyone know why you're lonely. Doesn't matter if you're a girl or a boy. And then maybe a fate will give you something, doing nothing but fix anything. I believe there's someone out there for you, but I don't believe there's someone for people who do not try. But I also believe some people should be alone. Some people are not deserving of relationships or any sort of love because people hurt their loved one. Or perhaps because they're blind towards themselves, not seeing how ridiculous it might be or how truly ugly their soul is. But that's just me. And that's it. Thank you for viewing this video. You can subscribe to my Patreon if you'd like to support me. Or you can join my Discord server if you'd like to talk with me. Have a nice day and see you later.